My name's Tom Caska. Bear with me with my voice. There's another reason my voice is a little bit croaky, not just from all the screaming and yelling yesterday of the kids and the tin roof and 1,200 students in the rain. I'll get to that, but I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Aerologix. There's a little bit of a story of how I actually founded Aerologix. I used to be a pilot for Qantas, and I'll take you through that journey, and then I'm going to be talking to you about the software that we've developed, the programs we're doing with STEAM and STEM, and the work we've been doing over the last several years. So I'll get to it. I might have to use this. Nope, maybe if I go right. There we go. So this is me. I've done a few different things. Spent 10 years flying for Qantas, studied at the University of New South Wales, and I've been doing a little bit of public speaking lately, not just the last few days, but over the last couple of years, and I've been fortunate enough to be involved, in the drone tech space and aviation space for the last 20 to 25 years, really showing my age. But it is rapidly evolving now, and we are really at a true point of inflection, as demonstrated and spoken about earlier tonight. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you, this is what I used to do. So that's my lovely mother there. I used to be a Qantas pilot. That's me having lunch at 35,000 feet with the autopilot on. Life was excellent. I'd always wanted to be a pilot, although Dad wanted me to be a doctor, although he was a surgeon, was working too many hours. So I decided to go into aviation. Absolutely love flying for Qantas. I did, however, spend about 5 years out flying in the bush, which I did also love, but it was bloody hard work and really didn't get paid that much money, about $15 an hour back then, flying light aircraft, which were very likely to kill you. So after getting many hours up, 2,000 to 3,000 hours at the time when I applied for Qantas, I finally got in there. I did fail a couple of times when I did apply. They've got this pretty hard psychometric test, and I failed that a couple of times and had to go back to the bush and do another year, or do my time, as they would say. So I finally got in. Life was good. I was based up in Cairns. I was flying 737, and I'd do a combination of international flying and also domestic flying. And then this happened. I had a bit of an accident. I got right in the kite surfing. Cairns, there wasn't much surf, so I used to grow up surfing at Avoca Beach ever since I was a kid. Surfed every day. There wasn't much surf, so I got into kite surfing, which I absolutely loved. I'd probably do it about 5 days a week when the southeasterlies would come up, which was a lot of fun. One day I jumped a little bit too high and copped a wind gust and fell from about 10 metres onto a sandbar straight into my neck and broke it. It made the local paper and the local news. I think it was headlines for the day, which is pretty cool. The gentleman in the photograph actually saved my life. He was a surf lifesaver. He had done his first aid, and thank God he didn't twist my neck, otherwise I would be a complete quadriplegic. But I was face down in the water, unconscious, and he saw it happen. So this happened about 20 nautical miles off the coast of Cairns. So it was a pretty big rescue operation, as you could imagine. They sent the helicopter out. They got me down to Cairns-based hospital, and then I was put in an induced coma with swelling and all sorts of things. At the time, Qantas were fantastic. They sent my mum and dad up. They were on holiday as a nurse, and they got a call and said, we're going to get you on a jet straight up to Cairns. Your son's had a bit of an accident. Dad got up there, and we had a look at the MRI, and there was a big transverse fracture with fragments into my spinal cord, and I was paralysed on a portion left side of my body, and I had vision loss, so I had to get put in an induced coma. So the next step was getting me out of Cairns down to a specialist neurosurgeon, one of the best in the country, Dr. Mark Coughlin, and he performed surgery on me, which ultimately is why I'm here today. I've more or less made a full recovery, but I lost my medical clearance to fly as an airline pilot. I suffered nerve damage, and I couldn't use my left hand for about 4 or 5 years. So I couldn't hold a beer, and that was quite frustrating for a fair amount of time. So I didn't really know what to do. My life had been turned upside down. I was back at Mum and Dad's I was 30. I was like, what on earth am I going to do? All I wanted to do, all I knew was flying. And yeah, I was like, okay, what's next? So I went and bought a drone. I went and bought one of the first crappy little drones that would fly for about 5 minutes, and the batteries would often catch fire. And I'd sit on the beach and I'd hobble around, or I'd get down in a wheelchair while I was recovering, and body was, learning to coordinate my legs again, and I couldn't see straight and all sorts of things. But what I could do was fly the drone around. And I guess at the time, these drones, I don't know if it was a good or a bad thing, but I would certainly crash a lot. But the drone technology was brand new. But I got this quadcopter for about $200 or $300, and I strapped the GoPro to it, and I'd spend every single day sitting down at the beach taking photographs and taking videos of people surfing. And remember, these batteries would only literally last for about 5 to 7 minutes before they'd either catch fire or you'd need to recharge them. So it was reasonably exciting, thrilling at times. So after about a few months of taking photos and videos, I captured this photograph you can see in the picture here. That's a bloody big great white shark, as someone said. And then there was this big debate, is it a great white or is it a bull shark? Apparently it's got a pointy nose, and it's about a 5 or a 6 metre great white shark taken at Kilcare Beach. I had Tourism Australia calling me up saying, hey, can you take it off social media because you're going to stop people coming to Australia? I mean, it's going to go nuts. The Kardashians retweeted it. It was on the front page of the Daily Mail, and it went absolutely berserk around the world. Next minute, I was on BBC World News with Yalda Hakim, live in front of 2.3 billion people as the Australian shark drone expert. So I was talking to Yalda, and it's 11 p.m. at night, and I was talking to my mum and dad. I'm like, who's Yalda Hakim? She's like, oh, she's the anchor for BBC World News. I'm like, what's BBC World News? And anyway, it got out of control, but it really got me thinking, if I can take one photograph and have that much of an impact with this new flying machine, there must be an exciting future. There has to be something more to it. In the following weeks, I actually got commissioned by Channel 7, 9 and 10, a lot of money just to go and fly a drone around the coast and take photos in case I get another shark, because it just went berserk on social media. It got millions and millions of hits and views, and it was, yeah. I don't know if it helped the tourism industry here or not, I'm not sure, but those sort of photographs became quite common, and then I'll explain a little bit more later. So, I set up a company called Aerologix. Before I talk about this, I went on a bit of a sabbatical. So when I could actually, after doing some more rehab, and Qantas were quite good to me. They did keep me working with them. So I worked in fleet and technical development, and I worked on some tech projects, bringing iPads into the flight deck and doing a few other bits and pieces which were non-flying related, so I could still get paid and things like that, which was good. And the great thing was I still had my staff travel, so I could go and fly around the world. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to get a better drone, one that won't catch fire as often, and will fly for 15 minutes this time and not 5 to 7 minutes. And I took off around the world. I did some work over in South Africa. I thought I was doing a job for at the National Geographic in South Africa, at a place called Hotspur, just out of Kruger National Park, and it ended up being a work with the South African Anti-Poaching Unit. I set up a surveillance operation over there, and I worked with a lot of very interesting people over there, including the Secret Service. I did that for many months. I went from there and I went around Asia and just took a drone and did lots of aerial photography and flying, figuring out what I was going to go and do next. I then went back and did some study at the University of New South Wales, started an MBA. At that time, I was doing some consulting work. I picked up a job consulting with the Department of Prime Industry and Surf Life Saving New South Wales. I set up their shark surveillance network. I guess I was the guy to do it, right? Getting big shark photo. Obviously proved I could take some good shark pictures, and it also proved that drones were a good vehicle or a machine or whatever you want to call it, an aerial vehicle to be able to spot these animals from above. So I worked on that, which was a really interesting project of 1,700 kilometres of coastline. I got to work with lots of different community groups. I got to work with all sorts of people, and that's when I got the idea to set up an Uber for drones, which is what Aerologix is today. So with another fellow at the time, we set up a tech hub up in Bangalore in India and built a minimal viable product. That's what we call it, MVP, trying to sound like a cool tech person, and which is an iOS app and an Android app, and we released on the App Store. We started off with about 10 pilots or 15 pilots. Today we've got 45,000 drone pilots across Australia and New Zealand, making us the biggest drone pilot network in the world. We also connect the system into the Digital Sky infrastructure, which is governed by the Civil Aviation Safety Authority, and it's using all the available technology today, smartphone technology, satellite technology, and artificial intelligence, and other things. So this is what the app looks like, and the technology. It's a free app you can download, and any of the school students can also download it. It gives you free access to all the airspace information, all the rules and regulations. We use it for people who are over, I think it's 17 or 16 and 9 months, when they can legally work as a drone operator and get paid money. And during COVID, we provided employment for 1,000 out-of-work airline pilots, which was really cool. So instead of them working at Audi or Woolies or Coles, they could use their aviation knowledge and experience and fly a drone and earn some good money. So we connected into the airspace system, which was a really big project for us. We got some funding through family, friends and fools, and some private equity firms as well, Elliston Capital and Nightingale Partners. Now, before I play you this little video, I'm just going to try and pause it. Oops. Before I play you that little video, I've been working with my little nephew. Started working with him when he was 8. He's extremely tech savvy. He's now 11. And we've been trying to get him off roadblocks. That's been the main thing. His dad's like, get him off roadblocks. So I'm like, all right, well, how about I get him involved with Aerologix maps in our software? And he's like, whatever, just get him outside and doing something that's useful and fun. And so I'll play the video with him, and he's done some incredible stuff for me, and you won't believe what he did. The mapping products I'm going to show you tonight, the 3D models and the reports and everything else is something that he did, and he's 11 now. So let me play the video. I'll just try and turn this right up.
At school, I really like doing digital technologies because we're learning about if AI is like good for the environment. Okay. What I'm doing right now is mapping school right now, and I enjoy this because I get to plan a map to like design what we want to map out, and then we we charge a drone up, and then we make sure all the systems okay, and then we fly it, and then once it's all done, we export it to Aerologix maps, and then we basically then you'll be able to see what it actually looks like in a diagram. Yeah. Not
so we're using real photographs taken
real
by
images to go everywhere. Yeah.
So that was just one take, right? So there was no prompting or anything. I was like, Elkin, say something to the camera. What are you enjoying at school? What are you enjoying learning at school at the moment? And he's got a subject called digital technology, which he loves. And he's been doing coding in it and lots of things like that, which was really exciting. So moving on a little bit further, Aerologix and Aerologix Maps has been around now for about 7 years. Out of coincidence or serendipity, I'm not sure, I met Matthew, who's sitting over there. He works for the CSIRO in Data 61. And I think he walked past my office one day and saw the logo and came up, and then we showed him our drone network, and he's like, hey, this would be really awesome for our research scientists being able to tap into your thousands of drone pilots to get the data we need for scientific research. So think about it, if you needed to get some information, you're sitting there in a Sydney office in Tasmania, you've got flights, accommodation, overnights, it gets expensive, right? So we get these drones on the one network. And then Matt and I discovered we went to the same school and lived on the same street. It was quite bizarre. So this was one of his slides, and I thought about this myself a few years ago, thinking this would be great for schools because a lot of kids already have drones and they love it. They can do all sorts of different things with it. And when I set up the Surf Lifesaving program, the kids were the best. They were so tech savvy. I couldn't believe how fast they could move their thumbs. It was quite impressive, right? And they'd be teaching me how to update the software and things like that when I'm trying to teach them. So extremely tech savvy, like you guys mentioned before, which is really good. So Matt and I got chatting. We're thinking, well, how can we actually use this for the greater good? And example of Elkin before, it took him an hour to do that flight. It was all automated. We used our software that we've developed, and we did work across mining infrastructure and oil and gas and lots of other things like that. But if you can incorporate it with STEM, and it ticks off a lot of the boxes because it uses some things that I'll go into in a minute, and I'll show you how the platform actually works and stream some information live from the cloud. You can get some really, really unique data, and that's what the world needs right now. Working with Elkin over the last couple of years and a whole bunch of other school kids and various schools, I've seen them kind of light up because they own a digital asset. It gives them ownership, it gives them purpose, and we're starting to see trends over time as well as we go back to the same place and we map it again and again and again. So Aerologix Maps is essentially using lots of drone photos, putting it into the cloud and producing a 3D model. I've got the school here as an example. It was quite a large school. Yesterday was interesting. I gave out a prize for anyone who could guess the amount of photographs used and time taken to create the maps and 3D models. Someone won. Someone got it within one number, which was really cool. We're using the science of photogrammetry, and this is really interesting, although it sounds like it's super nerdy, funky term. It's just a simple way of using lots of photographs to put to make 3D models. We're not the only company who does this in the world, but we've developed something that's pretty unique, and it's very targeted at school students because we've made it super easy to use. It's customizable, and it's homegrown. It's Australian. We own all the IP here in Australia, and Sydney-based. So there's lots of different things here. We can map anything from, well, the school kids can map anything from schools to buildings to bridges to beaches to whatever it may be. We had Elkin mapping all sorts of things. We were mapping the beach the other week, and there's been lots of coastal erosion due to the big storm, as you know. And then I was trying to get my other little niece, the twin, involved, and she's right into horse riding. She's like, I don't want anything to do with drones. Horses. I'm like, well, Mila, imagine if you could go and map where you went horse riding the other day and all the trees had fallen down and you were really upset and the horse almost got injured and things like that. She goes, oh, that's a really good use. So getting buy-in from the school students has been critical. Some of them are right into surfing. Obviously, they love doing mapping of the beach. Coastal erosion is critical for them, or they might be interested in other bits and pieces. And of course, they can apply machine learning and artificial intelligence, etc., to all of this information that's collected in the cloud. The good thing is it stays on shore too. So we're not sitting here as a tech company sending it all offshore. I sit on the board with the Tech Council of Australia as an affiliate member and also a board member with another group. It will be announced in Parliament on the 29th. A big problem we've got at the moment is a lot of the information that we do collect, especially with companies like Roblox and others, it gets sent offshore. It's getting sent offshore to China with WeChat and all sorts of other applications. So there's data sovereignty issues. We don't know what that data is being used for. It could be a threat in the future, and AI is accelerating so fast that we need to put the brakes on it somewhere, meaning that we need to have onshore data farms and things like that. But that's probably a discussion for another time. Much more around policy. So I'll just pull up a map. This is a good one here. This is Longreef Headland. So this is everyone, have many people been down to Longreef Headland in Sydney there? It's on the northern beaches. It's actually a marine park. And so this is streaming live in, so I had one of the kids do this as well. So we automated the flight, and then we can zoom right in and we can look at the rock cliff, or the rock face I should say. And we've scanned this multiple times, and we can start to look at when the rock face might fall, might cause injury to people underneath. And we've been able to calculate that and generate algorithms around that, which is, really critical stuff. This not only being a marine park, it's also helping public safety. So there's a big golf course here. Lots of people walk around the base of the cliff here, so I can spin it around like this and zoom all the way in. So we've got companies over in America who actually use this for rock climbing, and they go and scan the rock face for safety, for their safety before they go up and climb the rock face, just so they know where they can put their pegs. So I had an 11-year-old do this for me, right? And that's the power of it. We can also generate all sorts of different reports, which can be auto-gened and then combined with artificial intelligence to give you really detailed analysis about the local area, the terrain. And as we build up that database, and we've seen this because I've got 500 million images, or 2.3 petabytes of images after we acquired this company called Mapper out of South America. I've got half of the Amazon rainforest. We can see change over time, and that's critical. Once you can do that, you can start to predict the future. And it's heavily reliant on understanding artificial intelligence, machine learning, and advanced technology groups. So, where to from here? So for me, I'd love to see the kids not only using the software, but learning about the environment. It gives them ownership, and I think that's really important. And probably from the few hundred children and parents and teachers that I've spoken to over the course of the last 6 to 8 months, that's been a really big problem, is they don't really feel like they have the lack of purpose and ownership. But when I've been doing this with the children, they've been like, oh wow, I can see change over time, and oh, I created that. I use technology, or I use STEM, and there's all sorts of other things we can pull out of that as well. Why now? This was mentioned earlier as well, and this has been a theme that I've seen over the last couple of years, and this really is a why now moment. We're seeing the integration of these different technology groups, artificial intelligence, access to satellites. We've got rapid acceleration of the lithium-ion batteries. We can thank Elon for that. He certainly had a lot to do with it. I hope he doesn't take all of it, but we'll see. And then we've got artificial intelligence, and I've made that a little bit bigger than anything else because it's actually growing faster. So it's really starting to accelerate everything else, and it's helping pull everything together. 5G technology, soon we'll have 6G, and we've got the nanotechnology. So we're getting an amazing amount of information on a very, very small device. So just think the iPhone or the smartphone that you have tonight has 10 times or 100 times the computing power of the Apollo mission supercomputer. Right, I know. It's fascinating how fast it's going, and if not scary. What are the regulators doing about it? There's the ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organisation, and they stipulate the rules and regulations for aviation around the world. They're building one Sky. We've got Boeing, Airbus, and some others involved. Our company's involved as well, where we'll be building an infrastructure or a digital sky network for all things that fly. So drones, advanced air mobility vehicles, and all sorts of other machines. So you can think of it like the IoT of the sky, and I like to call it digital sky, and I think that picture depicts it quite well. Just as an example of some projects, and I think this is pretty cool, and I showed the kids this yesterday and the day before. This is like an orphaned oil well over in the United States. I'd never heard of an orphaned oil well before. I watched a 60 Minutes episode about a year ago, and I could not believe it after I had watched it. There's 5 million of them. They're from the 30s and 40s and 50s when they were drilling for oil, and they've been abandoned or orphaned, and they've been leaking methane into the atmosphere. They're the second biggest contributor of greenhouse gas emissions, period, which is absolutely unbelievable. We have the same problem in Australia. There's 29 million orphaned oil wells in Australia, in the world, not in Australia. And they are all potentially leaking lots and lots of methane. So we flew a drone over it. We put a methane detection laser gun on the drone, and then we put it into our software, and then we used some AI and did some other bits and pieces. But we did, it's called plume analysis, and we found out exactly how much methane was leaking and where and what the rate was. And then we revisited it and flew it again and again and again. So then we had trend analysis and time. And then we're like, holy crap, there's 5 million of these. How do we solve this problem? Yep. Other applications, we're doing advanced asset inspections, telecommunication towers, and the saying goes, anything that's dull, dusty, and dangerous, drones are fantastic for. One of the kids really liked that one this morning. We were talking about that, about sending the drones down the sewers. We've even got a drone that goes underground and can go down and map underground sewers and things like that, because that wouldn't be a very nice job. So, does anyone know who this gentleman is here? Yeah, that's Winston Churchill, correct. And where do you think that circle is, and what do you think it was taken with? Somewhere in Germany, yeah. This is one of the first drones ever. And this is one of the reasons, and this is how they got aerial intelligence to win World War II. And that would have changed the course of the world. What we're seeing at the moment with Ukraine and Russia and Israel and Iran and everything else that's happening is going to hyperscale drone technology, AI, and everything else that was mentioned here tonight. So it was already moving fast, and now it's going to absolutely move like you wouldn't believe. After World War II, we had a huge increase in aviation technology. The commercial space benefited massively. We had the advent, we had Pan Am, we had lots of other airlines. The jet engine was invented. And we're going to see a huge increase in technology. We're already seeing it at the moment. I'm sure you've seen the headlines with Ukraine and what they're doing with the smaller drones at the moment. So that's going to be a huge policy shift here in Australia, and there's going to be some massive job opportunities for the next generation, but we need to really focus and start now. So, wrapping it up, I'm almost there. I think I've got, that maybe was my last slide. Oh, my computer's frozen. All right. I'll leave it there. I'll say thank you very much for coming along this evening. I've actually really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed, working with the children. I'm extremely impressed with Lithgow Shire. Jess, you've done an amazing job. The teachers have done a fantastic job as well. Like I said, you guys are the most progressive team or class program we've seen in the country. So Matt and I have been speaking to a lot of schools. The way forward from here, I guess, is, you can contact Matt and myself. We're working with, I guess, multiple schools and institutions. I also work with University of New South Wales, and I'll be down in state and federal parliament soon on working on policy to help accelerate digital technology and look at bringing in a advanced air mobility subject as an elective. They're now doing it in the United States, and you've got the University of New South Wales who've just started the Bachelor of Aviation remote flying. So they're the first university in the world to actually, you can get that as a degree. The statistics say by 2043, there's going to be 63 million drone flights per day in Australia alone. So have a think about that. Thank you very much.